This is an Eye on Annapolis bonus podcast.
Sure, we're coming to you today to remind you about the Annapolis Home Owners Expo on September 27th and 28th at the Byzantium Center. It's got free admission, dozens of vendors, full lineup of seminars across the weekend. But more importantly, on the phone with us tonight is Matt Fox, HGTV pioneer from Room by Room and PBS Around the House. And you're just not a random interview. You are going to be here at the Home Owners Expo. So thank you so much for taking your time to chat, Matt. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's my pleasure. I love coming to home shows. And this one's kind of exciting. I haven't been to the Annapolis area for probably, about 15 years or so. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, a lot has changed in 15 years. And I know we're looking forward to having you back for sure. But, you know, as I look at your history, I mean, I'm like, dude, 13 years of Room by Room. I mean, that's like the Susan Lucci of HGTV.
Yeah, you know, I think it's unheard of anymore because, you know, at the time we did it, we started out doing 26 shows a year, and then we went to 36 or 37. And I don't think anybody does that anymore. I mean, a lot of the shows, you know, you're lucky if they're on 2 or 3 years. Yeah, we were really blessed. It was quite a run, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, and that was one of the very first shows on HGTV, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, when they turned the satellite on for the network, we were the very first show that aired. And it was really kind of funny because at the time, I think it reached about 5 million homes the first night. And I kept telling my mom, hey, Mom, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be on TV. And she couldn't get it. It wasn't in her. And she was like, sure, Matt, you're going to be on TV. But, you know, the network grew so fast. It kind of rivaled ESPN. I think it grew to like 90 million homes within a year or two. It was a phenomenon to be part of that show and part of that network.
Well, you know, there's such an attraction to that because, I mean, everybody has a home for the most part.
Right.
You know, whether you rent in it, whether you're living at home with your parents, whether you have a home, and there's always something to do. You know, whether it's just making if you're a teenager, you want to make your bedroom really cool. I mean, you know, it's got a universal appeal. So I totally see that.
Yeah, and if you think about it as far as investment other than your children, I mean, your home is one of your biggest investments that you'll ever make. And, when we first started, it wasn't there was nothing. There was, maybe this old house. There was a woman out of Canada, Lynette Jennings, but really there was really nothing like that at all. And it just exploded. And you see it now. The network is still very popular.
Absolutely. Well, what are you up to these days? Room by Room is no longer on there, but I mean, what are you up to these days? I mean, besides coming to Annapolis?
Well, when television ends, you got to go with your career. I'm a salesman. I work for a small company in Ohio that sells PPE, but I'm on the home show circuit. I do a lot of home shows through the year, and I'm still connected. I'm still connected with Sherry, my co-host. We've been friends for over 30 years. And, I'm still involved with the industry. What I like about home shows? I can still go to a home show for myself. I can go and I can learn. I can see what products are out there. I love visiting with other vendors because I'm a homeowner. And I need things. I need HVAC. I need paint. I need to make sure that I know how to do things. So that's why I really like going to home shows. Even if I'm not working one, I go to them.
Well, when you're at home, what's the weirdest DIY project you've ever attempted at home?
The weirdest?
Yours or maybe the one that funniest or the one that went the most off the rails?
Well, I think anytime I do anything electrical, it goes off the rails. I mean, I told, Sherry and I, when we did the show, we told everybody that, look, if I can do it, you can do it. And we always said, when it becomes a project that you're just not comfortable with, call the experts, call the guys that really know what they're doing. So, I have my limits. I have my boundaries, but electrical problems, when I get into a project that's electrical, my wife will come in and say, are you sure, Matt, are you sure you can do this? But I think anything electrical, Funny story. I was painting a foyer once for the show, and I was up on a high ladder, and I was one of those idiots that put the ladder on a tarp on a hardwood floor. So you can imagine what happened. I rode that ladder down, and I hit the floor really hard, and I had a bucket of paint that splashed up into my face. So even though I'm supposedly an expert, things happen. You have to be careful. And that was probably the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. And of course, there's a camera crew watching me. There's my co-host watching me. So I look like a complete idiot.
Well, you know what? I think if you ask any woman, that's probably genetic that happened to us. I
think so. I think we're still Neanderthals. We just won't admit it.
Funny electric story. When I was putting a new circuit breaker in the panel down there, and it wasn't going in, and I was really sort of tapping on it, and my ex-wife is going, "Are you sure you know what you're doing?" And we're in the basement, okay, so there's no windows, but the lights were on, and it was like, "You sure you know what you're doing? You sure you know what they're doing?" And all of a sudden, I tapped it, and it tripped the main breaker, and we plunged into darkness. I'm like, "Just get out of here." Just get out of here. I don't need your help.
I think we're human. People make mistakes, and I think I always tell people, just don't be afraid to try things. If you've never tried it, try doing it. For example, people are always afraid of using tools, but to me, if you just at least try, you'd be surprised what you can learn and what you're able to accomplish. So I'm a big believer in at least trying the first time. And if it doesn't work out, then at least you can say, I gave it the best shot I could.
True. And a legal disclaimer here, read the instructions before you try the power tools when you mix those.
Absolutely. And it's as silly as saying that line, caution, coffee is hot.
Right.
You just have to be careful when you're doing things. And ironically, I'm going to give you a little bit of my background. When I went to junior high, I was terrified of shop classes. I was terrified of it. And I had an instructor that basically said, "Matt, unless you try, you'll never get over that fear." And we tried to teach that in our show. You at least have to try. Even as simple as, doing a painting technique, you got to try it because you never know. You might be really good at it.
That's absolutely true. Well, I'll tell you, in all of your years that you've been in the home improvement industry, in the home improvement world, and you're as you said, you're a homeowner, so you're looking at stuff today. What's the design trend that you're seeing today that you just hope disappears forever?
I don't want to pick on anybody, and I think it's already pretty much waning, but shiplap. Putting shiplap on the walls, that became very popular a couple of years ago, and I think it's kind of dying down. That, and I think bright, bold colors. I think people are going back to bright, bold colors. I'm a kind of a traditional guy. I like soft, neutral colors. So, yeah. But it's ironic. Wallpaper's coming back. And I'm very surprised by that because a lot of people just hate removing wallpaper. But I think nowadays people are trying wallpaper again. I don't know. The trends just keep kind of going back and forth. And I kind of enjoy that. I think we get too complacent with what we have. And I like seeing new things coming up.
Well, you're kind of right. I mean, you even look at fashion, it sort of goes back, some of the fashion, when I think we're about the same age, fashion is, back in the 80s and the 90s is starting to come back in vogue. And I mean, I know we always, my girlfriend and I, we always talk about how we live in a disposable world, which really is depressing when you sit there and you think, well, I'll just buy an IKEA couch and get rid of it in 3 years when it breaks, as opposed to grandmom's couch that, weighs like a tank and we'll reupholster it. It's just a weird kind of a world that we live in, but
it's funny you said that though, because I remember I had a designer who was very good working with me. Sherry Hiller was a really good designer. And we would tell people, even when we were doing our show, and, remember, our show is room by room. We did one room at a time. But we would always tell people, buy quality, buy something that you can invest in. And it's like comparing a Ford against a Yugo. A Yugo is going to break down on you, but a Ford's going to always be tried and true. And we always tried to tell people, buy really decent pieces of furniture, but accessorize with inexpensive items like pillows or blankets. But buy a really good couch, buy a really good chair, because those are going to last, and those are good investments.
You're absolutely right. My daughter lives up in Manhattan, and she just moved out of her apartment that was furnished very cheaply when she moved in. And she said the thing for young people in Manhattan is to sort of leave the furniture for the next people if they want it, or throw it out and buy new or rent new as you're going into the new place. And
that just drives me crazy. I agree. That disposable, income. And to me, it's just more stuff that goes into the waste stream. Yeah, that drives me crazy. I'm a big believer in being practical and buying things that are going to last.
Oh, I know. I'll sit there and I'll argue back and forth in my own mind about the cost of something, and then ultimately I'll buy it. But I mean, it's because it's a quality piece of whatever.
Well, you being a guy, and like me, you probably have blue jeans that you bought back in the 90s. Come on now, admit it.
No, I'm not going there. Okay, so let's move into this home show thing. There might be a T-shirt or so somewhere.
We have that Adidas or that Nike T-shirt that we bought when we were in college that we just can't get rid of.
Just don't ask me about my members jacket or members only jacket. That'll be.
Oh no! Yes, a classic. It's a classic.
It'll come back. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But you're coming to Annapolis on the 27th and 28th. And again, that's at the Annapolis Homeowners Expo. It's going to be at the Byzantium Center. And you've got two seminars on Saturday. I think they're noon and 2:30. But what are you going to be bringing here?
Well, I'm going to do some practical things. I'm going to talk about how to paint. I'm going to talk about how to build your own workbench. I'm going to talk about your garage floor. I'm going to talk about all sorts of different things that probably you don't think about. Just kind of like little tips on how you can be a better painter, little tips on how you can build a really cool workbench for almost nothing. How to caulk properly. It's amazing when you look at some new construction and they put trim up and they don't finish it. They don't make it look like it's part of the wall people can take with them. I'm not going to, I'll talk about the show a little bit, but I really want them to come out of the show knowing that they learned something from me.
Well, it sounds like I'm going to check out that caulking thing, because that's one of my downfalls. I mean, more in the bathroom end, like in round tubs and stuff like that. But that's
well, yeah, and that's what I'll talk about, because that's where people make the biggest mistakes. And those are the finishing touches that if you do it proper, anybody can paint. It's the prep. People need to learn how to prep properly, because then if they prep properly, the paint job's going to last longer, and then they don't have to paint as often. And another big tip, don't buy cheap paint. Spend a couple extra bucks and get a good quality paint. So those things I'm going to be talking about when I'm at the show.
What's a good quality paint?
Well, I'm a Sherwin-Williams guy.
Okay.
I love Sherwin-Williams paint, and I just they have a paint called Super Paint, and it's really a super paint. It you can get 2-coat coverage, and I'm another guy. I don't really believe in a primer and paint all in one can. How can that be?
True.
How can that be? If you prep properly, you prime properly, and you paint properly, then you don't have to paint as often, and it's going to last you a lot longer. So Sherwin-Williams makes a really good quality paint.
Well, there's your tip for the night. But so why do shows like the Homeowners Expo still matter? I mean, what do they matter? And I mean, what do you get out of meeting with the homeowners face to face?
Well, they still matter because you still have a home, and every week there's a new project that you have to tackle. And if you really want to save money, you want to do it yourself. Now, granted, like I said earlier, sometimes you need to hire the experts. Sometimes, a lot of these shows, and it kind of drives me crazy. And I do love the network, but when they start tearing a house down and building a house in 6 weeks, I'm like, that's not reality. You have to look at your own home and say, what can we tackle and be logical about it? And what can we tackle that we can afford? We can't do the whole house at once. That you'd end up in divorce. You want to pick one room, you want to have a good budget, and you want to start and really do it properly. And the way to do that is to go talk to the experts at the home shows, really look at that one project. For example, let's say you're thinking about your bathroom remodel. Just do that. Get that room done and then move to the next room. But if you try to do the whole house at once, you're going to go insane. It can't happen. You overwhelm yourself and then you'll give up and nothing gets done.
And there's a sense of satisfaction too when you work with one room as you did in room by room, but it's to get it there and get it done. I mean, you're
completed, yes.
And then you get that. And then once you're through all of them, you can do it again. It's like painting a bridge, but you've got that whole sense of satisfaction that we've done this all together.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, exactly. My wife used to make fun of me because at our home, I would paint one side a year because it was a stained house. You had to use a stain instead of a solid coat paint. And I would stain one side a year, and then I would just perpetually work around the house. Every year I did a side. But I wasn't overwhelmed trying to do the whole project at once. And it always looked nice. I always got it done. And I just would move around the house. And it just so, like you said, it's very satisfying. And I try to tell people all the time, don't do too much because you'll give up and you'll stop.
And not all of us have unlimited funds to be able to do that.
Right. We used to jokingly watch other shows and say, who can afford a $20,000 area rug? That's just, to me, that's just mind boggling. We tried to do everything within a budget and try to make it affordable for the everyday Joe.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Well, I'll tell you what, let me just, as we start to wrap it up here, just for fun, I've got a quick lightning round for you. 3 questions here. Paint or wallpaper?
Paint.
Open shelving or closed cabinets?
Closed.
Yard work or indoor?
Yard work.
There you go. Fantastic. Hey, Matt, I'm not going to take any more of your time. I know you're busy up in Wisconsin, but I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. I'm looking forward to meeting you at the Home Owners Expo. And how can people follow up and keep in touch with you online, and besides coming to your house for dinner or something like that?
I have an Instagram page. It's just Matt Grant Fox. We do have a website, mattandsherry.com, and they can come on. But, I really do want to tell people, please come up, talk to me. Come meet with me. If you have a project that you're working on and you just are stuck, that's what I'm there for. And if I can't figure it out, we'll go find the right person that can. I will be at the show early. I always come early. I love to hang out. I like to walk around and meet other vendors. So if you see me at the show, please come up and say hi. I would love that.
Fantastic. Well, again, at Annapolis Homeowners Expo, September 27th and 28th at the Byzantium Center, also known as the Greek Church on Riva Road. And the hours, I believe, are 10 to 6 on Saturday, 11 to 5 on Sunday. Free to attend. It's going to be chock full of things to add to your honey-do lists. And Matt will be there for not 1 but 2 Saturday seminars and walking around. So make sure you stop and say hello to him. But again, Matt, I want to thank you so much for your time and safe travels to the East again.
I can't wait. Thank you, John. I'm looking forward to it, sir.
This has been a bonus podcast from Eye on Annapolis. Please visit us at eyeonannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Eye on Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.